And I just want to ask the Minister what plans to ensure children are protected from exposure to harmful content on social media. Thank you.
The issue of children accessing online material that is not appropriate for them is a serious matter and is something that I'm very alive to, not just as a minister but as a parent myself. This is why Government legislated for a new regulatory framework for online safety through the Online Safety and Media Regulation Act, which I commenced in March of this year. Under this Act, a new regulator, Comisiún na Meán, was established, including an Online Safety Commissioner. Comisiún will protect children from harmful online content and from age-inappropriate online content, including cyberbullying material, content promoting suicide, self-harm or eating disorders, and pornographic material through the development of binding online safety codes and online safety guidance materials. Comisiún, which is independent in the performance of its functions, expects to adopt their first online safety code in Q1 of 2024 and will be consulting on a draft of this code in the coming weeks. The EU Digital Services Act came into force last August and has applied since then to very large online platforms and very large online search engines enforced by the European Commission. From February 2024, it would apply to all platforms, and Government has decided to designate Comisiún na Meán as Ireland's Digital Service Coordinator under the DSA to monitor and enforce it in Ireland. The DSA introduces a range of obligations, including requirements for most online services to complete risk assessments in relation to the risk of exposure of all their users to illegal online content and the exposure of children and young people to age-inappropriate content. These services must then address this risk of this exposure through a range of mitigation measures, including age verification or age assurance. More broadly, at European level, in May 2022, the European Commission launched a new European strategy for a better internet for kids. This strategy places a strong focus on providing age-appropriate online experiences. In order to facilitate age verification, the European Commission has committed to work with Member States and promote EU standardisation in order to strengthen effective age verification methods. In particular, the Commission has committed to facilitating a comprehensive code of conduct on age-appropriate design by 2024 and indicated that the code could provide for age verification for accessing certain online content. This suite of regulation and initiatives will go a long way to reducing the exposure of children to harmful online content and, when fully implemented over the coming period, will serve to keep them safer online.
Thank you. And Minister, I do welcome your commitment, and I know the establishment of the Comisiún na Meán in 2023 and the appointment of Ireland's first Online Safety Commissioner in March 2023, and then of course, as you said, enforcement of the EU's Digital Service Act. And I know your commitment, but if you look at internet safety legislation that will require social media companies to keep children safe online, it passed into law in the UK last month. So in theory, that would make the UK the safest place to be online in the world. Here, however, while we have done a lot, children are still experiencing harm online, so we need the urgency to address this. The research company Cyber Safe Kids say there is simply not enough government funding allocated to address how we can support children and young people to be safe and smart online. The research shows 31% of primary school children can go online whenever they want, and 25% have experienced online bullying in the past year. These numbers, they rise to 73% and 40% respectively when you ask it goes into secondary school, so there's a huge increase there. So, Minister, I would really ask that you would look at that too. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you. Well, ours passed into law this time last year, so Comisiún na Meán was established under the Online Safety and Media Regulation Act, and this legislation was something that was welcomed by a range of organisations, including the ISPCC and Children's Rights Alliance, who see this as the possible window to a safer online world for children and young people in this country. But it takes time to resource Comisiún na Meán, to appoint the Online Safety Commissioners and the other commissioners there, and the Digital Service Coordinator for the DSA is placed in Comisiún na Meán too. But what I do see is hope now. We have all this in place. The era of self-regulation is coming to an end, thankfully, and I say it as yourself, like a parent. And they will have a range of enforcement powers. This includes powers of audit to require the provision of information, periodic reporting requirements. If a service is suspected to be non-compliant with the online safety codes, and Commission can appoint authorised officers to investigate this. And upon receipt of report of an authorised officer, a Commission may decide that if a service is non-compliant, a financial sanction of up to €20 million or 10% of the turnover. So there's real enforcement powers, there's real teeth with this. And I do say that we're coming to the end of self-regulation.
Murnane, do you want to add?
Yeah, well, no, just thank you, Minister. And I do really, welcome what you have done in that. And I suppose, as you said, as a parent, I'm very mindful of social media now, because I think everything is gone social media, and it is just important that we monitor them and that no child ever feels that, that we can't regulate, that we need to make sure that every child is protected at all times. And again, I want to thank you for your commitment.
Minister, do you want to conclude?
Thank you. And as I said, they're working on the draft codes, which will go out to public consultation shortly, or not public consultation, but consultation with stakeholders shortly. And we'd intend those codes, the first code, to be adopted in the first quarter of next year. And really, in all the debates, when we were debating this legislation, it was child focused. The real focus was on protecting our children first. And we will see in the codes, we'll see include requirements to adopt measures in respect of age verification, in respect of content rating and parental controls. So I think we really are making sure that the online world becomes safer for our children.